Picture this. You wake up in medieval Europe. Your first thought? Maybe I'll become a knight. Yeah, probably not. A blacksmith then? Also no. The most realistic outcome is that a few days later, someone walks up to you and says, "Good news, we found you a job." Oh, nice. What is it? You'll be cleaning the king's toilet. Welcome to medieval Europe. You know what's funny? Movies always show the cool parts. Massive castles, epic battles, kings eating giant roasted animals for dinner. Everything looks surprisingly clean, almost suspiciously clean. Because here's the thing, after every huge feast, someone had to deal with what came after. There were no flushing toilets, no plumbing. Everything went into a giant pit underneath the castle for weeks, sometimes months. And eventually somebody looked into that pit and said, "Yeah, Steve can handle this." That somebody was called a gong farmer. And despite the name, he wasn't farming anything. Gong was an old English word for human waste. So yes, his entire job was climbing into giant cesspits and shoveling them clean. Usually at night. Not because it was more efficient, because nobody wanted to watch. Imagine your first day. So, any training? Here's a shovel. That's it. You'll figure it out. Now here's the part nobody expects. Gong farmers were actually paid pretty well. Not because people respected them, because absolutely nobody wanted their job. Turns out supply and demand existed long before economics textbooks. The fewer people willing to do something, the more money it takes to convince someone. Of course, there was a catch. Those pits filled with poisonous gases. Some workers climbed down, took one breath, and never climbed back out. Medieval people didn't really know why. Today we know those gases could knock someone unconscious in seconds. As if the job wasn't terrible enough already, but wait. It gets worse. If you liked leather shoes, thank a tanner. Actually, maybe thank them from a distance. Leather wasn't made in nice, clean factories. Animal skins had to be scraped, soaked, and softened. One of the main ingredients? Human urine. Yep, entire towns collected it. Imagine explaining that to someone today. "So, what do you do for work?" "I spend all day with dead animals and buckets of pee." "I'm gonna stand over there." Tanneries smelled so awful that many towns forced them outside the city walls. Think about that. A medieval city where people dumped waste into the streets. Still thought, that's a little too smelly. And then there were executioners. Sounds powerful, right? Not really. Most people were afraid of them. Many avoided talking to them altogether. Imagine showing up to a village party. "So, what do you do?" "I'm the executioner." "I'll go grab another drink." But here's the strange part. Without these people, medieval cities simply wouldn't have worked. No one wanted these jobs. Everyone needed them. History remembers the kings. It remembers the knights. But kingdoms didn't survive because someone wore a shiny crown. They survived because somebody was willing to do the jobs everyone else pretended didn't exist. So next time you think your job is terrible, just remember, at least your boss probably isn't handing you a shovel and pointing toward a giant hole under the castle. Hopefully.